Hey guys, thanks for watching the Chen Dynasty. It's Mikexingchen. In this video, we're gonna talk about something I really love: food. More specifically, imperial food. Because from the time since there were such things as emperors and palaces, there were also such things as imperial foods, where meals specifically prepared and mainly served to the emperors, their wives, and concubines, as well as other members of the royal family. Imperial food represented the best cuisine that a dynasty has to offer, with the emperors and those who cater to their health and nutrition having used their influence and resources to find the best delicacies across the nation and to select the best cooks of that time to make them. So kind of like an imperial top chef. And while imperial food is a reflection of the dietetic culture of the various ruling emperors and dynasties of imperial China, it is also undeniably an indispensable part of China's cultural heritage that has managed to endure even until our modern era. So what is Chinese imperial cuisine? Chinese imperial cuisine is derived from diverse cooking styles that have originated from different regions in China. This style of Chinese cuisine came from a collection of various dishes and delicacies that were originally invented by common people and improved upon by the royal kitchens of various emperors as well as empress dowagers. Imperial cuisine is characterized by elaborate cooking methods, strict selection of raw materials, expensive and complicated preparation, and elaborate visual presentation. The styles and tastes of Chinese imperial cuisine vary from one dynasty to another, with each dynasty possessing its own distinct features. China's dietetic culture started from the Xia, Shang, and Zhou dynasties, but the nation's imperial cuisine saw rapid evolution during the Qin and Han dynasties, flourishing in the Tang, Song, and the Yuan dynasties, and reached considerable heights in the Ming and Qing dynasties. Although China's dietetic culture developed way before the Zhou dynasty, it is generally agreed upon that Chinese imperial food originated around the era of this particular dynasty. Not only was imperial cuisine during the Zhou dynasty an improvement from the cuisines prepared in the Xia and Shang dynasties, it was only in this period that a complete system for managing imperial food for the royals and the nobility was developed. From procurement, diets, and preparation to staffing, supervision of imperial food, and the development of meal grades for the members of the royal family, everything was done in accordance to the empire's established eating rites. As prescribed in the rites of the Zhou dynasty, when the emperor took a meal, there were 12 deep bowls with legs and 12 plates. Music was played to urge him to eat. The rites also indicated that the 3 daily meals that the emperor would eat included beef, mutton, pork, fish, cured meat, intestine, stomach, and small pieces of cooked meat. Even banquets and feasts held by the emperor and his officials had rules to follow. For example, again according to the rites of the Zhou dynasty, when the emperor gives a banquet, there must be 6 cereals and 6 animals for food. There must be 6 clears for drink, 120 delicacies, 8 dainties, and 12 urns of sauce. The 6 cereals were rice, millet, broomcorn, sorghum, wheat, and wild rice stem, while the 6 animals were horse, cow, sheep, pig, dog, and chicken. In the Zhou dynasty, there were 22 departments handling the management of imperial food, and more than 2,300 members of the staff were assigned different functions and responsibilities, like being the head chef, internal cooks, external cooks, assistants, nutritionists, as well as wine officers. This complex organization of the royal kitchen assured a detailed and well-defined division of labor that maintained the premium quality of the meals served to the emperor. The involvement of food in politics became largely important during the Zhou, Qing, and Han dynasties, as holding banquets and feasts became the norm. Whenever the emperor held meetings with the prince or the dukes, or when members of the royal family met with each other. Imperial food and drink in the subsequent dynasties of Han and Wei largely followed the system initiated during the Zhou dynasty, but the nation's empowered economy and openness for cultural exchange allowed the palace to attain new sources of raw materials, better cooking utensils, widespread use of ironware, and higher standards in the quality of imperial dishes and the skills required to make them. The imperial food of the Sui, Tang, and Song dynasties also picked up the system and rules established by the previous dynasties, but there were also a lot of changes implemented in what kinds of food were served to the emperor and his family and how they were prepared. There was also way more variety in the dishes that were made during these dynasties, as the royal kitchen paid a lot of its attention in diversifying the flavor, tastes, color, and presentation of these dishes. They also took great lengths into naming these dishes. Some of the famous imperial dishes that were passed down to our present time from the period of rule of these dynasties are fried ringing bells, quick friend prawns, crab rolls, crystal dragon, and phoenix rice cakes, and steamed mandarin fish with no soy sauce. Okay, I promise these sounds way fancier in Chinese. There were also a lot of similarities in the food that were prepared and served to the emperors during the Song and the Yuan dynasties. However, when the Ming dynasty usurped the Mongolian rule in China, the royal kitchen also abandoned the Mongolian style of dishes that were served to the Yuan emperors, and instead imperial cuisine during the Ming dynasty mostly comprised of dishes inspired from the flavors of southern China due to the preference of its founding emperor. Protection of the emperor's health also became an important factor in the preparation of imperial meals, as the rulers of the Ming dynasty were particularly mindful of protecting their well-being by eating healthy foods. So maybe I wouldn't really fit well during that time. The imperial cuisine of the Ming dynasty was essentially grain-based, with meat and bean products becoming less prominent ingredients in the emperor's meals compared to their significant use in the earlier dynasties of China. The meat and fish eaten by emperors were limited to chicken, pheasant, goose, duck, carp, golden carp, mandarin fish, bream, rabbit, and deer. The menu in the Ming palace also changed daily, and the royal kitchen did not repeat the meals and light refreshments they served to the emperors on a daily basis. Some of the famous dishes during this period were shark's fin soup and edible bird's nest. Sea cucumbers and prawns were also served in the palace during the Ming dynasty. Peking duck, which originated in the southern and northern dynasties, were also fully developed during this time and was included in the imperial cuisine menus of the Ming palace. What's really interesting was that although the cultures were vastly different, there were very few differences between the imperial food served during the Ming dynasty and the subsequent Qing dynasty. And even today, the cuisines from these two dynasties remain important to those with Chinese ancestry in different parts of the world. In the Forbidden City during the Qing dynasty, the imperial household department was a division in the Chinese emperor's government that was dedicated to the management of the emperor's food. There was also a special organization known as the Imperial Kitchen in the Qing palace that was tasked with the preparation of imperial cuisine for the emperor, and no doubt run by a Gordon Ramsay type character back then. During the rule of the Emperor Qianlong, the kitchens for the imperial tea and meals were divided into two groups: the external kitchen and the internal kitchen. The external kitchen handled the Qing palace's banquets, feasts, and sacrificial rites. The internal kitchen, on the other hand, was divided further into departments assigned in the management and preparation of meat dishes, vegetables, roasting, baking, as well as rice cooking. The meat department, for one, was responsible for cooking delicacies from both land and sea. The bakery was assigned with making cakes and pastries, and the rice cooking department was the team designated with the preparation of cooked rice and different porridges. Imperial cuisine was an important part of the lives of the royal family in the Qing palace. The rites observed during this period in the preparation and serving of imperial meals, the number of people required to make them, and the cost, variety, and the quality of the courses served at every meal have been argued by some of the greatest of all the dynasties that ruled imperial China. Some of the more notable dishes of this period were, for example, the Dezhou braised chicken, a traditional cuisine from Dezhou in Shandong province, and the Wensi tofu, a soup dish that originated from Jiangsu cuisine. With how much of its legacy managed to endure until today, Chinese imperial cuisine cannot be dismissed as a minute and irrelevant element of the country's history. In reality, not only does it reflect the efforts and dedication of those who prepared and served the meals of emperors, or attest to the ingenuity of the common people who invented these unique dishes during their time, Chinese imperial cuisine is also an integral part of China's traditional cuisine, as well as its modern citizens' cultural heritage. You know, the food will probably be the thing I enjoy most if I, ever was the emperor of China in a past life. I mean, think about it. It'd just be a grand buffet at every single meal with hundreds of dishes. I really wonder how the emperors in Chinese history managed to stay so thin with all the food at their disposal. I mean, were there imperial gyms? Maybe I'll look into that for my next video. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you later.